The courtroom turned into chaos on day 4 of the Sean Diddy Combs trial as Cassie faced intense cross-examination. But instead of tearing her down, the defense might have accidentally made her case even stronger. From a mountain of text messages to the judge losing his temper, what happened today was nothing short of a disaster for Diddy's team. Stick around, because this trial just hit a whole new level of explosive. From the moment cross-examination began, it was clear what Diddy's legal team was trying to do: flip the narrative. They wanted to paint Cassie as a willing, even eager participant in the relationship, not a victim. They came armed with hundreds of text messages and emails, many filled with warmth, pet names, and intimate language. "I love you so much, it makes me want to cry," one message read. In another, she referred to herself as Baby Girl on her BlackBerry, an affectionate nickname from Diddy's inner circle. The strategy? Make it seem like Cassie was fully in control. That she wasn't trafficked or manipulated, she was in love. She was complicit. She was in it for the perks. The underlying message: she asked for it. But instead of damaging her credibility, the move may have backfired spectacularly. Cassie didn't deny the affection. In fact, she leaned into it, acknowledging that she did love him at one point, that there were highs alongside the lows. But she also described how that love was weaponized, how being close to Diddy meant walking on eggshells, pretending to be happy, and submitting to things she didn't want, just to stay safe. Rather than undermining her story, those texts added depth to it. They painted a picture of a young woman trapped in a cycle of emotional confusion and abuse. Cassie didn't come off as deceptive. She came off as heartbreakingly honest. And in a credibility battle like this, that may be all the jury needs to decide whose side they believe. Before the jury even took their seats, the defense was already in hot water. Diddy's legal team dumped over 400 pieces of evidence on the prosecution that morning, many of them duplicates. Prosecutors were blindsided, and the judge furious. He scolded the defense for what appeared to be a delay tactic, warning them that this wasn't a game and that they were wasting valuable court time. The judge made it clear they've had months to prepare, and everyone knew Cassie would be testifying this week. There was no excuse for the last-minute document dump. It set the tone for the day: chaotic, rushed, and disorganized. And when a judge is already frustrated before questioning even begins, you know the defense is off to a very bad start. As the defense tried to chip away at her story, Cassie sat calmly on the stand, 9 months pregnant, emotionally raw, but incredibly composed. While the defense aimed for short, controlled answers, yes or no, Cassie didn't play along. Instead, she offered full, emotionally layered explanations that showed she wasn't just reciting a script. She was reliving her trauma. Legal analyst Nate the lawyer explained it best. During cross-examination, lawyers want to control the witness. They don't want long, sympathetic answers. They want to box you in. But Cassie wouldn't be boxed. When they showed texts where she expressed love for Diddy, she didn't deny them. She acknowledged the good, and then reminded the court of the terrifying reasons she stayed: the fear, the manipulation, the hits. And the jury saw it. Cassie wasn't crumbling, she wasn't confused, she was credible. That's something you can't fake, especially under pressure. And if the jury believes her, even just a little, Diddy's entire defense falls apart. At first glance, the texts and emails between Cassie and Diddy looked like something out of a passionate love story. "I love you so much, it consumes my life," he wrote. "Who was I before we decided to be together?" she responded. The defense paraded these messages in front of the jury, hoping to rewrite the narrative. They wanted the jury to see a couple deeply in love, not a victim and her abuser. But Cassie didn't run from these messages. She leaned into them, acknowledging the complexity of the relationship and owning her truth. She explained that yes, at one point, she did love Diddy. In the beginning, he was sweet, attentive, and magnetic. He built her up. He promised her the world. But slowly, that warmth became a weapon. The emails weren't proof of consent. They were proof of manipulation. They marked the start of a toxic cycle where affection was used as bait, and every emotional high was followed by a devastating low. She described how she felt like an object of his fantasies, how what began as sensual turned into something dirty, grimy, and degrading. And here's where it all flipped. Instead of portraying her as a willing participant, the defense unknowingly helped establish the classic signs of grooming. Diddy targeted her when she was young, vulnerable, and dreaming of success. He isolated her, broke her down, and made her believe she couldn't say no, even when everything inside her was screaming. And when those love letters are viewed through that lens, they stop looking romantic and start looking predatory. Diddy's legal team tried to roll out what should have been their big moment, the so-called highlight reel of the relationship. Lavish vacations, red carpet appearances, flirty messages, Met Gala photos, million-dollar outfits. They wanted the jury to see Cassie as someone who enjoyed the ride, not someone who was being abused. But here's the problem. Almost every single text, photo, or email they presented was from the early years, before things turned dark. And Cassie had already explained this in her earlier testimony. She told the jury the beginning was glamorous. That's what made it so confusing. It started fast, fun, even magical. But that sparkle was a trap. So when the defense tried to use those good times to prove she wasn't a victim, it backfired. Instead of discrediting her, it confirmed her timeline. It actually gave more weight to her story because she had already acknowledged the contrast. The jury didn't see a contradiction. They saw a slow unraveling. Even the tone of the courtroom shifted. It was clear to observers, including legal analysts and reporters, that the strategy wasn't landing. One outlet said it felt like the defense was trying to sell a vacation brochure while the house was burning down. And if you're trying to prove someone wasn't trafficked, but look, she went to the Met Gala, isn't going to cut it. Cassie didn't just describe emotional abuse. She pulled back the curtain on a world of addiction and manipulation that turned their relationship into a psychological prison. She told the court that she and Diddy were what she called get-high partners. They'd used together. But it wasn't a shared choice. It was another layer of control. Cassie testified that Diddy would explode with rage if she used any substances without him. It wasn't just about partying, it was about domination. He wanted control over when, how, and with whom she got high. And when she tried to break free from that cycle, when she sought recovery and checked herself into a spa, he retaliated. She said he even told dealers not to sell to her behind his back. If she didn't get high his way, she wouldn't get high at all. And it went deeper. She described a world where substance abuse wasn't just personal. It was weaponized. Diddy used drugs to manipulate her state of mind, to disorient her, to break down her resistance. At one point, she even described fearing getting lost in the matrix, a term she used for being so high she couldn't come back to reality. And when someone has to plan the timing of their abuse just to stay functional for a movie premiere, that's not love. That's control. That's trauma. In one of the more tone-deaf moments of the day, the defense tried to frame Cassie's past relationships as a way to undermine her. They brought up the fact that before Diddy, she dated another much older man, a music producer nearly a decade her senior. Their angle to suggest that Cassie had a pattern of dating older men, possibly for opportunity or status. But what they may not have realized is that they weren't discrediting her. They were proving the prosecution's point. Rather than exposing Cassie as manipulative, they were highlighting a clear, disturbing pattern. She had been targeted by older men since she was a teenager, men with power, money, and influence. Cassie didn't shy away from it. In fact, her testimony made it even clearer. She was 19 when she got involved with Diddy. He was not only older, he was her boss. He controlled her career, her money, her living situation, her public image. He wasn't just a boyfriend, he was a gatekeeper. This wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't a love story. It was a blueprint for grooming. Identify a young, ambitious woman, offer her protection and success, then slowly isolate her, break her down, and trap her emotionally, financially, and physically. Legal analyst Nate the lawyer pointed out that what the defense may have thought was a clever tactic actually gave the jury a clearer picture of how long this cycle of exploitation had been operating in Cassie's life. And when jurors start connecting those dots, it's not just Diddy on trial. It's the entire system that allowed this to go on unchecked for over a decade. The defense pivoted to a familiar angle, trying to paint Cassie as jealous, unstable, and emotionally manipulative. They pulled up messages where she expressed frustration over Diddy spending holidays with his other partners, particularly Kim Porter. They wanted the jury to see Cassie as possessive, immature, maybe even vindictive. But Cassie's responses told a different story. She admitted feeling hurt, left out, and confused. She testified that she genuinely believed her relationship with Diddy was exclusive, until she found out, again and again, that it wasn't. This wasn't petty jealousy. This was emotional whiplash. A young woman clinging to the idea of love while being gaslit and replaced behind the scenes. And her fear? It wasn't just in her head. She admitted to keeping a burner phone during a secret relationship with rapper Kid Cudi. Why? Because she believed that if Diddy found out, it would be dangerous. Not awkward, dangerous. That fear turned real. When Diddy eventually discovered the relationship, Cassie said things turned violent. She described the moment as scary, and testimony in earlier days alleged that Diddy even blew up Kid Cudi's car. The defense didn't exactly deny it. They just tried to shift the focus back onto Cassie, which only made the moment more chilling. So yes, Cassie had jealousy. But that jealousy wasn't proof of instability. It was proof of just how isolated, manipulated, and emotionally starved she was. She wasn't fighting for attention, she was fighting for safety. And when someone needs a secret phone to protect their own happiness, it's not a love triangle. It's a warning sign, one the jury is definitely picking up on. While some commentators online have shrugged off the trial, claiming it's all messy but not illegal, legal experts say otherwise. And by day 4, it became crystal clear. Diddy is facing real, provable federal crimes. Nate the lawyer broke it down during the live stream, pointing to one of the most damning elements so far: violations of the Mann Act. This century-old federal law makes it illegal to transport individuals across state lines for the purpose of engaging in acts. And here's the thing, prosecutors have already shown multiple instances of this happening. Cassie described being flown across the country to attend drug-fueled freak-off parties. Other male workers have testified that they were flown in and paid. And payment doesn't just mean money. It can be career favors, housing, or threats of retaliation. And then there's RICO, the same charge used to take down mafia bosses. It's not just about proving one crime. It's about proving a pattern of criminal behavior tied to an organized effort. Prosecutors don't need to prove all of it. They just need 2 qualifying crimes within a 10-year span. And according to Nate, they've already shown 5. Let that sink in. 5 alleged RICO predicate crimes. And they only need 2. Cassie's testimony, combined with documentation, texts, and supporting witnesses, has built a damning case brick by brick. Each time the defense tries to shift blame or distract with irrelevant details, it only sharpens the contrast between her consistent story and their scrambled defense. If this continues, and it almost certainly will, Diddy could be facing not just a scandal, but decades behind bars. By the end of day 4, one thing became painfully obvious. Diddy's defense team was falling apart, not just legally, but narratively. Cross-examination is supposed to be the moment you poke holes, expose lies, and break the witness. But instead, Cassie stood firm, and the defense looked like they were scrambling in the dark. Multiple major outlets echoed the same criticism. ABC News said the defense came off disjointed. The New York Times noted they failed to craft any clear story about the relationship. And the Washington Post bluntly stated that the cross-examination did not significantly chip away at Cassie Ventura's testimony. At one point, the defense attorney literally blurted out in court, "I know I'm all over the place." That line wasn't just awkward, it became the unofficial headline of the day. They weren't just losing their grip, they were losing the room. Even the judge had had enough. He scolded them for wasting time, for trying to extend Cassie's testimony into next week, and for failing to prepare, even though they'd known for months that this moment was coming. The jury was watching, the press was watching, and more importantly, the public was watching. Because in a case like this, it's not just about what happens inside the courtroom, it's about the narrative that takes hold outside of it. And right now, that narrative is not in Diddy's favor. And if the defense can't flip the script fast, day 4 might be remembered as the moment this trial started slipping beyond their control. So what did you think of day 4? Do you believe Cassie's testimony is holding strong? Or is Diddy's defense actually building a case we're not seeing yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear from you. And don't forget to like this video if you've been following the case, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a day of this trial recap. We've got so much more coming, and you won't want to miss a single twist. Hit that notification bell, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for day 5.